This is our real thoughts. Again, Rob doesn't know what we're doing. Rob, since we talked about Nicolas Cage last time, let's talk about the Ghost Rider movies. Both of them. Ugh. Because there's really no point in separating them. We can really talk about both of them in one video, I feel.
Hate!
Okay, now here, before we even start, this is one question I know everyone's going to want to know the answer to. Which one did you dislike more? The first one or the second one? Because it's a surprisingly tough choice. Like, they're very different, but also very similar in their stupidity. They both have some cool scenes. They both have Nicolas Cage not trying, but then trying at other random moments.
The horror of it is, I'm trying to separate the two in my head. To me, it's almost just one giant... The second one,
Ghost Rider looked better. Like, he looked like a legitimately cool skull. It was burnt, and the fire really looks like it was, flaming off and stuff.
What the fuck even happened in the second one?
The second one was the boy with the devil wants to take this boy and consume his body, and like the Antichrist or whatever.
That could have been just any shitty, like, late 90s movie with the devil in it. From that literally, like, I feel like
I don't think it was late 90s. I think it was early 2000s.
I know it was early 2000s, but that's what pissed me...
It feels like it.
No, that's what pissed me off about it more, is it felt like something that was so antiquated literally by the time it came out. Like, everything had that kind of, like, I would say, like, End of Days and all of that shit. Like, I feel like there was a stretch from, like, the late 90s to the early 2000s where it was all those fucking devils coming back movies.
Yeah, that was during the Dark Age again. Yeah, just bland, stupid movies.
You know what? I will say this. There was probably in some ways some better action in the second one.
You got a little bit more of Cage freaking out.
It got more of Cage freaking out, but I hated the story even more. At least the first one, as shitty as it is an origin. Yeah, no, you know what? That story was shitty too.
Yeah, it's really hard. See, when you really think about them, it's hard to choose which one is the worst one, because everyone's always like, oh, the first one's far worse. Oh, the second one's far worse. Like, there's no everybody's behind.
All right, let's
one
just
choice.
Compromise and say we hate them both.
Yeah, I don't know. I
don't like either of them. I never read Ghost Rider religiously.
It's the world's most amazing image.
Yeah,
like that is the coolest looking
comic,
superhero in the world.
The problem is when you're a kid, we weren't exactly rich, so I had to kind of pick and choose which comics we could get, because, we would only get a certain allowance, or our mom would only be like, oh, you can only buy one. So Ghost Rider was always one of those that I really kind of wanted to read, but, catching up and everything. So I lived vicariously through Ghost Rider, through, like, other kind of collections, or the Marvel comic cards and stuff, or when he would show up in other comics. So I always
do a crossover with X-Men sometimes.
He would show up in some of the X-Men comics we had. So I liked Ghost Rider, and from what I remember of Ghost Rider, this wasn't a very good movie.
Well, from what I hear, like, Nicolas Cage was this huge Ghost Rider fan. He has like a tattoo of Ghost Rider and everything, and from what I understand, the character, he's just phoning it in. It just so looks like he's not trying, he's phoning it in until he transforms. Then he goes pure Cage, he goes nuts. Yeah. And that's great. That's what we think we're going to see. And we get a little bit more in the second one, but not much.
Yeah, it's really a pick your poison thing, because the first Ghost Rider Cage is less crazy. It at least is an origin story, not a good one. And I feel like maybe it was a little bit more of a coherent narrative, but the second one, I thought the story was even shittier. Kind of like just crappy hand-me-downs from like other bad like late 90s, early 2000s films. But the action was a little better, and Cage was a little crazier.
Yeah.
But I didn't like the villain really at all.
I'll say this, like, if I
couldn't tell you. I think, you know what? It's like Lord of the Rings. Instead of thinking of it as 3 individual movies, let's think of it as one giant movie, and in this case, one giant pile of shit.
And with the first film, like, if I was a producer and I read the script to that film, I'd be like, okay, needs a rewrite, but this can work. I can totally see, there's good ideas with him riding down the building, him, like, throwing the chain around the helicopter and bringing it down, fighting
That
all
part
these
was
other
actually really
supernatural
cool.
Yeah, when
Like,
he's
there were a
Ghost
couple of
Rider
scenes that
in
were
the
really
first Ghost
cool.
Rider, it's not that bad. It's just the fact the skull looks so silly.
Yeah, it's the effects couldn't keep up. But the idea, like that scene in particular sticks out. It's one of the few scenes I remember, and I'm like, that was fucking badass.
Yeah, and him riding
Like,
down the building was really
yeah,
badass,
so
too.
but everything else around it just kind of that had the taint of David Goyer on it, didn't it?
I forget if he was the first one or the second one, but I think he produced the second one. I don't know about the first one.
Did he write the first one at all?
I don't know. That one I'm really not sure.
you
You gotta look it up. I'll keep talking about it.
I need to know.
Because he hates David Goyer like more than
No, but
anything.
because there's something that really stuck out. And that was, I felt the first one was just a carbon copy of Blade. Like, I'm watching it,
think
I'm
so?
like,
I
yeah,
get
the
that.
villains, the way, like...
The villain, yes. That's another
the
young,
villains,
spiky hair.
Sam Elliott is basically Whistler. I felt like...
Yeah, no, that's kind of true.
I felt like it just was
That might be from the comic, though. And when I saw the trailer for the first Ghost Rider, I really wanted to like it. It looked kind of cool. And Nicolas Cage seemed like, a good choice and everything. And then we're watching, it just sort of seemed like a Saturday morning cartoon almost, with the way they acted and the way the lines were. And she brings a magic 8-ball to her date, just to serve this joke of like, will he show up? No. And it's like, why? What? How? I can't feel bad for that actress, because I feel like she could be a legitimately kind of funny comedic performer, but she had to be quote-unquote serious in this, even though they throw in dumb scenes like that. But whenever she has a scene where she has to do kind of a funny expression, like when she's interviewing him, there's a great scene where, he kind of doesn't answer his question. She brings the mic back to him, then back to her. And that was good comedy. I thought that legitimately kind of worked.
Okay, so, no, he did not write the first one. He was executive producer.
Okay.
So his taint was there somewhere. But that,
He produced the second one, I'm pretty sure.
An executive producer can make a number of calls. He could have just said, hey, give me Blade, because that worked, and I was involved in that. He did, however, both executive produce and write the sequel. And we know how good that was.
What I love in the second one, there's this scene where it's like Christopher Lambert's in it with, graffiti all over his face. He kind of looks like in Liar when Jim Carrey writes blue on his face. He looks like that.
As is the case with everything he's in, he's the best fucking thing in the movie. I wish there was just more of Christopher Lambert.
But I love
him and Cage together would have been an amazing film.
There's a scene where he's like, they're taking the boy to the devil or whatever. Cage is like, no, I have my weird trip out scene, no.
Bring back your fucking honey, you stupid bitches.
He says something like that, like, this is the wrong thing to do. And Lambert's like, no. And it does this big close up. It's like, it's not. And I'm like, why did you go in for the big pause close-up on that line? That's not worthy of that.
No, it's not. It's not.
Mortal Kombat.
I love Christopher Lee. Honestly, he was the best thing in Mortal Kombat.
Yeah, that's true.
Enter a tournament of Mortal Kombat.
You didn't like the Johnny Cage shenanigans?
No.
I liked the way guys that cracked in the second one.
Christopher. Yeah, who didn't? It was all Christopher Lambert.
I guess it's hard to talk about seeing how we don't know the comics that well, but it's like, even from like, I just want to see a comic book movie about a guy whose head becomes a flaming skull. These are kind of dull, safe, not interesting movies.
Welcome to the world of David Goyer. There's everything he touches. There's like a paint by number quality. It's just paint by number. It's like the script always feels half complete. It just gives you some plot points. You're never that invested in the characters. Sometimes it makes no fucking sense. I will say this: the one thing that I'm grateful for is that I think this was Marvel's sign that this guy. No, we're not.
Yeah, I was gonna say, have they ever had him back?
No, I don't think so. After Ghost Rider 2, I think that, you know what?
DC can have him.
Yeah, DC can have him, and fucking DC's loss. Maybe this was a Marvel plot from the beginning. How do you?
We put in a mole named Goyer.
How do you take it? This is like that German plot where I think they shipped Lenin back to Russia. The Russian Revolution happens and they pull out of World War I. It's like how do we take DC down? We'll just ship him Goyer. Like he tanks the Ghost Rider franchise. What do you think he can do? The Batman and Superman.
But yeah, I'm trying to think.
Before anybody mentions the Dark Knight trilogy, third string writer. And
Dark City are the same thing.
Yeah, same thing. And I'm like, and whatever contributions I think he made to those were the contributions we didn't like. I'm pretty convinced.
Yeah, I'm trying to think what.
I don't even know what to. Okay, so
they're so not interesting.
There's a weird sort of. So my wife and I were watching this show on USA called Political Animals. Chad Sigourney Weaver in it, and it was actually. I thought for a first season it was actually a really good show, and they canceled it after season 1, but she was basically playing Hillary Clinton. And it was kind of a fun sort of alternate universe where it's a Hillary Clinton-esque character who is overtaken by a young upstart who's supposed to be Barack Obama, except they pussed out and made him white instead. I'm like, oh yeah, you should have just made it like real life.
Does he have messed up white hair like Sanders? Oh, not that that's right now.
This would have been like 4 years ago, maybe.
This was a while ago. Okay.
Before we all had to feel the burn. But the guy they got to play Clinton, their version of Clinton, was the same guy who played the villain in Ghost Rider 2. And he just had this slimy southern accent and would just keep saying, oh, sugar bumps, oh, honey bunch. It was so weird because I so loved his performance, but it was not Bill Clinton. I was just like, no, Bill Clinton, no matter what you think of him, has charisma.
No, he's like a smooth motherfucker.
Yeah, that's his fucking secret. I mean, even Republicans would have to admit it's like, oh no, that asshole's smooth.
Yeah.
Like, so this guy
that dude can get away with murder. Probably has.
Such a used car salesman playing this slimy Clinton character. And I'm just like, ugh. But at the same time, it was so funny to watch that it was amazing. So
why couldn't he bring that to the devil in this?
That's what killed me. I'm like, Ghost Rider 2, I'm like, I saw this guy in Political Animals and he was amazing. And in this, he's so boring. I was like, just once, say sugar bumps. Just once.
It's me, sugar bumps. Yeah, you know the thing too, at least with the first film, neither film represents what seems like a really good, authentic hell, or a very credible hell.
Nor did Spawn, for that matter.
No, but with the first one, at least there's a sense that, like, the devil kind of stays out of it. Like, he sort of comes in, makes his deals, and then he kind of goes away, and then years later he needs the Ghost Rider again because his, whatever, son, Antichrist, whatever, is going on a rampage. So he kind of stays out of it. He's the guy in the corner just waiting, as you kind of imagine the devil is. Where with the second one, he's running around, he's just a guy in a black suit in a car saying, "Rah, go faster, rah!" And it's like, that's just not fun to think of the devil that way.
Well, and this was a problem with all those films at the time. I felt like their interpretations of hell and the devil were just boring.
They were cartoons, like not even entertaining cartoons.
Yeah, and I don't like, if you want to have the devil in it, like, I wish they would have given him like a personality. Like something really, like, even if it's not like good, at least it could be like Eddie Redmayne over the top, Jupiter Ascending, sort of like, okay, at least that was entertaining. It was fucking nuts. Or something to match Nicolas Cage and Christopher Lambert. Like,
even Nicolas Cage wasn't matching Nicolas Cage.
Yeah, I don't know. And so you didn't feel the first one was a lot like Blade? Because
no, when you mentioned those elements, I see.
I kept telling you as we were watching, it was like, I just feel like I'm watching a lame ripoff of Blade.
No, like the actual,
because like the villains in it reminded me of Stephen Dorff and his idiot brood.
No. The villains,
which
I
was
can
also
see,
the weakest thing
and
in
like
that
the
movie.
Whistler guy, I can see. When you
like
brought
Sam
that up,
Elliott.
I'm like, okay, I can see that.
Like, this is like,
it's supposed to be kind
the
of
same
like
film.
But I never got like there's an underworld, or like, he's good with the sword or anything, or he's like, even the characters don't really seem
because you
that
can't
similar.
Change that character, but I felt the way the story unfolded, I felt even the way it was shot,
that there's a romance in it, which there isn't in Blade, technically.
Yeah, but it's
like,
still
it was so goofy. Like, it was over the top. Hijinks goofy,
there isn't in
which I
Blade
never got in
technically,
Blade.
but I feel like even in Ghost Rider, the romance was kind of still shelved. Much like, so it's just like they went one extra step, but I felt like even the way it was, the whole thing exuded something Blade about it.
See, I got more like goofy hijinks which sometimes have this badass character.
Don't get me wrong. That's
the
there, but I'm saying a goofy bad version of Blade. Like I feel
like the Saturday morning cartoon of Blade. Maybe.
I feel like Blade was a template that Marvel, in this case, may have been trying to follow, and then they brought David Goyer on board, and so
we got to do the darker films.
We got like more of the same.
I mean, that was certainly a time where it's like, hey, if we're gonna try and make comic book films a thing, we got to make them dark and gritty. But like, even then, more just visually, not usually the storytelling. Though Blade got, pretty gory and everything. But after that, I was like, no, PG-13. Let's keep it PG-13.
Turns out Marvel back then kind of sucked at it.
Yeah,
just like DC sucks at it now.
Yeah. No, Marvel was not always the.
God, no.
It really didn't start like, okay, now you're really fucking good until
this
like,
meteoric rise has been so impressive that we forget how fucking rock bottom
Fantastic Four
pile of shit and it's not even
X-Men's are okay.
Okay, well it's not even Marvel's it's not even all Marvel's fault because they didn't have direct control of all of it, but the Marvel properties were not always executed well. And now of course we have honestly, if you told me right after Dark Knight Rises or even right after Dark Knight that this would have kind of switched, I would have believed you. I would have thought, oh no, like DC's got this in the bag. Look at what they just did. This is amazing.
Well, I think Dark Knight came out around the same time as like Iron Man.
But that's the thing. I enjoyed Iron Man, but to me, this still felt like a
no. But I mean, like what they were setting up.
Yeah, but to me,
but
this
you're right. We
felt
never
like
see
a
it done
long
before.
shot.
Yeah,
like if you because when they first said it's like, oh yeah, then we're gonna do Iron Man. Then we got plans. Oh, we got plans. I got so many films. I'm like, yeah.
We've heard that a lot.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. Sure. And then Iron Man was good, and I'm like, all right, Iron Man was good. Like I thought Iron Man was a pretty good movie. But I'm like, I didn't think at the time that Iron Man was anything as good as like The Dark Knight or something, and then slowly we just reversed ourselves. They never recovered after Nolan kind of left.
Yeah. Well, even when Nolan was there, you could argue that, they weren't.
Okay, I'm sorry. Dark Knight Rises has a lot of problems, and it's not great. It still was a complete trilogy. You know what?
Don't like it. But I mean, that's me.
I'm not a huge fan of it either. But I think you're like too harsh on it.
I really fucking hate it. But whatever.
I'll still take it over handing it to Schumacher and doing Batman Forever and Batman. I'm like, at least we got a finished product.
So, but yeah, that's our thought on it, guys. And we will be back next time with another real thought. Later.